Does the current stalemate between Ukrainian and Russian forces mean the war in Ukraine will soon come to an end? Or is there still a long, devastating road ahead? Well, joining us to provide some insights is former Florida Congressman Francis Rooney. Mr. Rooney also served as U.S. Ambassador to the Vatican. Ambassador Rooney, thank you for being with us. So Ukraine and Russia are working on negotiating an end to this war, and President Zelenskyy has said that a new compromise is possible to end the war. He says Ukraine may agree to remain neutral in the future. It would no longer seek membership in NATO if it's given security guarantees. So what do you think of that proposal?
Well, Zelensky's pretty clever. He's not really giving anything up to go for that. And if he offers neutrality and no NATO and probably no EU, that's not giving much up, because I don't think he's going to get NATO or EU anyway. But what he doesn't need to do, and what Russians would like him to do, is give up the eastern part of the country that Russia has occupied. And I don't see how it's in Zelensky's interest to do that, given how well they've been able to repel the Russians.
Well, Zelenskyy has said that he wants Russia to keep only the parts of Ukraine that they held prior to the invasion. But it looks like Putin has no intention of giving up Crimea or that land bridge now that he has to Crimea. So would that be a deal breaker? What's your take on that one?
Yeah, I think for right now, Zelenskyy should insist that it is. I mean, Russia has the Crimea and Sevastopol and all that, and I don't think we're going to pry that away from him. Obama gave him that, and it was unfortunate and really quite tragic. But we don't need to give him the land bridge connecting Russian territory down to it, and that's what he's trying to get. And I hope that the Ukrainians can hold out.
Well, it looks like he's also trying to get some ports there, like Mariupol. I mean, that looks like an apocalypse there. What's your take on that? Should he keep that?
No, I think that Zelensky's comment that he's willing to just take the status quo ante before mid-February, whenever they started all this, and move forward as a neutral state's pretty good offer. I don't know that would be enough for Russia, because Putin really wants the whole country.
How about security guarantees, though, for Ukraine? How do you think that might work?
Well, I don't know how we could do that. You know, I don't know whether NATO would be able to give the kind of guarantees that Zelenskyy would want. And I don't know what Russia would do it. I mean, it might just get to kind of a standoff.
Well, it seems like it'd be very difficult for NATO to give security guarantees to a non-NATO country. But of course, Ukraine always talks about the agreement that was made when the nuclear weapons were moved out of Ukraine. We kind of reneged on that one, didn't we?
We absolutely did. And he's right to raise that. But now I don't think you're going to see NATO take on the Ukraine. I just don't see it.
Well, what do you see happening then? What's the road forward here to end this war? What needs to happen at this point?
I think as long as the Ukrainians can keep the heat on and make it difficult and expensive for Russia, and it could ultimately provoke Putin into doing something disastrous, which would engage the rest of the world even more, like if he uses chemical or biological weapons, or if he should, in the worst case, use tactical nukes, then this thing could escalate to a whole new level. The president has said that using biological weapons would be crossing a very serious red line. And I think he's right to say that. Putin will make it look like he didn't do it. He'll make it look like the Ukrainians themselves did it, just like he tried to do with Syria. And he's an intelligence operative, so he's used to trying to turn it back on the other people. But we need to be vigilant, and maybe more vigilant than we were in Syria, quite frankly, in calling them out.
Well, it seems like he's operating like he did in Syria. I mean, just talk to the folks in Syria who've experienced his bombing, and I'm thinking of many places like Aleppo. Aleppo was leveled with Russian bombs. What do you think of that one?
Yeah, he's a take no prisoners operator, and he's out there in some very strange area, a very strange place. You know, taking on the Ukraine invoked a global response that I don't think he anticipated. I don't think he knows how to get back from it. I don't know if he even wants to get back from it. I think we had to put the maximum pressure on Russia. You know, you remember before the end of the Cold War, there were no Russians around here. The only Russians in this country had a diplomatic passport. We didn't have any of their products, and they did not have ours. And I think we go back to that as long as Putin's president.
And there are plenty of Russian operatives here in the U.S. right now, correct?
There are. They've got a huge embassy up there on Wisconsin Avenue, and I'm sure most everybody in there is an intel officer of one form or fashion. But we don't need Russia. And I think we should put maximum pressure. I wrote an article recently. I said, if Putin wants a Cold War, let's give him one. We don't need them.
Okay,
now,
Francis.
we've got a few greedy companies that should get with the program and say, okay, we're going to support the policy objectives of the Western world and get out of there.
Okay, Francis Rooney, former congressman and former ambassador to the Vatican, thank you for taking time to share your insights with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.